Well, good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. On the iPad, the camera's right there. We are just getting back in from running around town and getting back from a dinner at, it's not Las
It's
Chalupas,
Luciano's. It's our
Luciana's
Tuesday night spot,
Tuesday night spot with Gracie.
and they look forward to us coming.
We're regulars, although I changed up my meals on them.
Yeah, we confused them tonight.
So, I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about health because health seems to be something different. Everybody's definition of health is different. And I'll ask you, what do you consider health first?
Well, I mean, what I consider health and what most people consider health, or what I considered health 15 years ago, is totally different. Because I think most people think a thin body or a lean body um, and energy, nice hair and nails makes them healthy, but you can be very thin and have all of those things and still be very unhealthy. So I look at it from the inside perspective, and cell health, and you know, skinny doesn't necessarily mean healthy, but overweight isn't healthy either. So
Well, they've actually proven statistically that the models that you see on the magazine covers, they're not healthy.
oh, actually, that reminds me, when we were talking about this, Alzheimer's is linked to people being very thin.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that makes sense. Think about um, the Alzheimer units that we have visited. There's nobody that's heavy in them. Well, and a lot of times it's because they forget to eat, but they've linked that leanness or lack of body fat to um, Alzheimer's or dementia.
And so there's a fine line, let's put it that way, between being overweight slash obese and being super lean. And so the people that are in that 5, 6, 7, 8% body fat typically have to push a lot of buttons, and they have to push their bodies pretty hard to actually get that lean. And so what they have found is that that probably 10, 12, up to 18 to 20% body fat, as long as it's not visceral fat, tends to be a little healthier. But these are metrics. And I think that it's more important as to what you're able to do. And those are the things that we look at. That's the things, that's how I look at health. I mean, everybody's goal for when with our functional medicine patients, what are your goals? And they'll tell us what their goals are. And almost everybody wants to lose weight. And it's funny because a lot of people do need to lose weight. America is the most one of the most obese countries in the world. But after you get to a certain point, it's not about being model thin. It's about being cardiovascularly healthy. And what's your blood pressure? How do you feel? Do you have the energy to do the things that you want to do? If we roll this back 10, 15 years, by 7 o'clock, I was wiped out and I was taking naps in the middle of the day. I still carry a little too much weight, but we're trying to figure that out because that also goes with joint pain and things like that. But a healthy person should have energy as long as the sun is up, should not need to take a nap in the middle of the day, should not have problems with libido and desire and performance, should not have an issue with walking, shouldn't be looking at how close can I get to the door so I don't have to walk. Um, and those are all things that we should just be able to do. Health is not about what is your blood pressure exactly? What, if you really want to get down to it, the people that I know that feel the healthiest are getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and they have a regular and normal bowel movement twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. They have good friendships. They can go out, they can have a drink or two without hurting the next day. They can go have a meal, or they can do Christmas and Thanksgiving without hurting. They don't have to think about what they're going to do. That's being healthy, and that's having your body at a point that it's resilient and it can take the hit. So, I mean, honestly, health in the long run is about a squaring of the curve for me. So, they call it the marginal decade. Everybody has a marginal decade. So, the last 10 years of life, things start to go down. But are things going to go down at a level like this? Or is performance going to go down just a little bit at a time, and then you're just going to drop off and die? And they call that the squaring of the curve. And that's where most people want to be. You got to really think about this. During the last crisis, I got to be careful how I say that. I've gotten warnings. During the last crisis, America is 3 to 5%, depending on what you read, of the world's population. And the earth, so of the world's population, we're 3 to 5%. When we start to account for the deaths due to the pandemic, we were 30% of the deaths. So if America is such a healthy continent, why did we, if that's the case, we should have only been 3 to 5% of the deaths. We should have had a straight proportional thing, but we weren't. We were 30%. So we had a 10x death rate as compared to other countries. Why is that? And those are the things that we have to ask ourselves. Why are we so sick? And then after that, everybody's been dealing with something, whether it's, oh, I can't breathe, oh, I get tired, oh, what's happening, and that's where you got to start looking at, okay, let's start to clean house. Is my house in order? What do my hormones look like? What does my blood work look like? What does my microbiome look like? And start to straighten those things out. You've seen in previous episodes, we've talked about using the nicotine patch to help with symptoms of long haulers, and that helped wonderfully for us. But we also didn't get that sick because we're metabolically healthy. We are losing weight and getting more fit. And those are the things that we like to do. At 53, I don't know how many 53-year-olds are learning to play guitar and taking up flying lessons. We're going to Shipshewana this weekend. It's about energy and having the energy to do what you want to do, at least for me. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, energy, flexibility, stamina.
And those are all things that I don't care at what age you are, you can get it back, because we have 80-year-olds come into the clinic that stretch, and then they can get to where they can touch their toes again, and they can ambulate and all kinds of things.
And I think we've normalized the elderly as in sitting in chairs.
Yeah.
And canes and walkers, and that doesn't have to be that way.
It shouldn't be that way.
When you think of grandma, we all think of our grandparents or grannies, or when we think about that, we think of little old people sitting in a rocking chair. Well, for me, I do.
I don't.
But there's plenty of older people that are well into their 80s riding bicycles, walking every day, like living their best life and their healthiest life, because there's lots of those people that are the healthiest at the end of their life. One, because they have maybe more money. They definitely have more time, but they've prioritized themselves.
Yep. And let me let you guys in on a little secret. My grandfather Bergmeyer, he had diabetes in his latter part of his life. He had diabetes. And so when he got diabetes, they told him, "Oh, you're going to have to go on insulin," and he was like, "No, I'm not having it." And so he started walking. So he would walk everywhere. And if you don't know North Vernon, Jennings County area, my grandfather would walk the railroad tracks from North Vernon all the way out to Zenas. He would go to Zenas and garden, and this is at 60, 70, 80 years of age. He would garden, and then he would walk back. And that's about a 20-mile walk each way. And it was nothing for him to walk out to Hayden, which was a 7-mile hike, and he'd have it easy. Well, I don't use Viagra. I don't need it. And that's the wonderful thing about being 53 and metabolically healthy and knowing what my metrics are and knowing the things. That's what it's all about. Here, but here's what Paul Peters put on here. I don't watch a lot of television, so I don't know if that's a jab or if that's a compliment. Anyway, and that's just, those are the things that, and I didn't try to start getting healthy until I was in my late 40s, actually. Probably, late 30s, early 40s. And then everything was skewed because I thought that it was, the person that's at the gym and could run and blah, 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 blah.
Well, and I think that people fall into that mindset that they're comparing themselves to the people around them. And really, the only person you should be competing against is the person you were yesterday.
Yep, absolutely. And so you really need to sit down, and here's a great thing to do is sit down with a notebook. Libby's saying hello. She has noticed that we are on screen, so she has to come in. So sit down with a pad of paper and write the things that you would like to be able to do when you are 70 and 80 years old. And then you need to see if you can do those things now, because you will lose performance. And so you need to look at where you're at now and then figure out how to get yourself healthy enough that you can slide into that.
Well, and I have a thing for Paul. Like, we laugh about this, the Viagra issues, but that's actually not normal. You should be living your best life until you're called home. Like, impotency and things like that, that's not normal, even for gentlemen in their 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, but almost every one of our functional medicine patients,
yes,
in their 30s, 40s, and 50s are coming in. They start out with this. And then once they start out with this, we start to address the things that cause that, and they get out of it.
Yes.
And that,
I mean, you should never settle. This is my passion. I will get on my soapbox every single time.
She loves hormones.
You should never settle for that. Your 30s, I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. If you are having a performance issue in whatever it is, either female or male, then that's your body warning you or telling you there's something wrong.
Absolutely.
And you need to go back to your basics and your core things. Like, if you're giving your body the things that it needs, then your body will produce the things that you need to live a healthy life. So if you're having performance issues or low libido, you should never accept that that's just the way it is. I'm at that age of my life this is the way it's going to be, because that's not the way it is intended to be, and that's not the way it should be.
And that's definitely not the way it used to be.
And the intimacy part is just one facet of that. because there's other things that are underneath that, like bone health,
Vascular health.
vascular health, your, your energy, your thyroid, um,
Hormones.
all kinds of things. Well, it's all intertwined there. But if you're having those issues, come and see us because we can help.
If you're, hey, here's the funniest thing. We have more accidental pregnancies out of our clinic than I care to count. And it's not because we're giving them, oh God, it's not because we're giving them berberine. It's not because we're giving them, what's the drug?
Metformin.
Yeah, it's not because we're giving metformin. It's because we start to straighten out the metabolic issues, the things that cause, I hate the cliche of root cause, but yeah, we get down to that thing that causes the hormones to go bad.
Well, and I get on a little soapbox about this too. People will give thousands and thousands and thousands of
Oh,
dollars
no.
away
Tens of thousands.
for infertility issues when it really is just as simple as changing the way you're living, the way you're eating, the way you're moving, the way you are sleeping.
Well, stress, the way you're thinking.
Before you, please, before you throw away your money on infertility treatments, find somebody to help you look at you and change the way you are living.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be us.
It will be healthier for you. It will be healthier for your child.
Oh, yeah.
And you will set up a beautiful structure to live your life by.
Well, and here's more food for thought. Your child develops in utero in the environment that it is conceived. So if you're giving yourself tons of drugs, tons of hormones, tons of things to force the conception, what do you think the environment that the fetus is growing in, what do you think that environment's going to be like? That's just like women who are overweight when they conceive and carry are 9 times more likely to have a child that is overweight and diabetic. I may have fudged those numbers some. Don't quote me exactly on that, but they show that because of the high insulin levels, the children tend to have high insulin levels. So they tend to be more obese and they tend to have more metabolic issues. So that is something that's that environmental issue that we talk about. And if you don't think that mindset matters in conception, don't even look at the stories that we talk about. Look at the stories that are out there about the people who have tried and tried and tried and tried, and they put all this pressure on themselves. They spent tens of thousands of dollars. Finally, they actually gave up
and went on vacation.
Just relaxed, had a good time, and conceived.
Well, when we talk about lean bodies, that's just a big thing. Lean bodies. But women are not meant to be that lean.
Oh no, 18 to 25% body fat. That's a normal, healthy. If a female is at 8 to 10% body fat, they can't produce the hormones. A lot of women that are in that single digit body fat range, they are amenorrheic. They can't. No. They don't have a period.
No.
And so Libby is trying to weasel her way up onto. Yeah, look at the people. Yeah. Oh no, I'm innocent. I'm not guilty.
Not allowed to touch the couch. Get him.
Eases her way up on. Anyway, with all of that being said, there are so many levers. Our area, our specialty on these things is looking at the hormones, is straightening that out, is helping with the diet portion of it and whatnot. It's not the mental aspect. And we send lots of people out for counseling and to talk to psychologists or psychiatrists or counselors, whatever the case may be. We don't do trauma counseling, but if we see that there's trauma there, we have sent them to it.
Yep. And if you have that in your local,
Yeah.
If you have, I'm going to plug them because it's a wonderful opportunity for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Range to Recovery. It's located in Reddington, Indiana. They have a therapy program for autistic children, disabled, the elderly with dementia and Alzheimer's, but they have a grant program that does not cost you anything. There's two actually. One is for children under the age of 18 that's been that has
By
suffered
Lily, right?
suffered any trauma, any psychological problems, and Lily did fund that. So that is of no cost, and that's driven by um, a PhD person, I believe, and then licensed therapist under her. But they also have another program for any adult who has been a part of a domestic violence, a crime against them, any abuse, and they have a wonderful program to help you through that. So that's Range to Recovery.
I think we're going to ask
In
one of the
Reddington.
ladies that actually helps implement that. I think we should take her out to dinner and sit down with her and interview her and let people talk, especially during the holidays.
Yeah, but we've sent a lot of people to them, and they are really helpful.
Yep. And so,
We got off topic here, but
yeah. No, that's honestly, that's just part of trying to deal with that, because life happens. Bad things happen to good people all the time, and it's not their fault. And some people just need a little helping hand to get through it. Um, so, on that note, hey, we have the elderly that we are trying to help out. So if you would like to donate blankets or make a donation so she can go shopping for blankets. I don't shop.
we are up to 64 blankets. Our goal was 150. If you're local, please help us adopt an elderly person. Actually, we say elderly, but a lot of them aren't elderly. It's a nursing home residence. They can be young or old. A lot of them have very loving family members, and there's a whole lot of them that don't. And so, a blanket, a colorful, comfy blanket on their bed, we are hoping that cheers them and give them a little love this holiday. So, if you can't help us and you're not local, then just take a blanket into a random stranger in the nursing home. I promise you will get more joy out of that, 20-minute visit, and you will receive way more than you've given.
So next week we're going to try to get someone from Reigns on to talk about their program. If you're interested in that, if you battle domestic violence, this is all part of getting healthy. You have to face, and they honestly say you have to go through the trauma. You have to be able to identify it, and you have to go through it. And that's one part of it. So we'll try to have somebody on from Reigns, and we look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you.